What is the scariest FNAF fan game you've ever played? Most people when they hear that would think of FNAF ransomware or maybe a FNAF free roam game. But when I hear that, one game comes to my mind. Graveyard Shift at Freddy's. Each animatronic designed in this game seems like they're not even made to be animatronics, but more hand demons. This FNAF fan game was created by Avocado Dreams back in 2024 and was taken down for some unspecific reasons, which I'll get into later. If any of this intrigues you, join me as we get ready for our Graveyard Shift at Freddy's. As we begin the game, we're greeted by the main menu. Oh my gosh, it nails the ransomware aesthetic. The game gives us three options: endure, make your selection, and goodbye. It really doesn't seem like this game's trying to get you to play. It's more of a warning. But after we click endure, we can begin our first night. The game begins by loading into our office, which is very claustrophobic. The phone guy calls us for night 1. He really doesn't give us much information on how to deal with the animatronics. Well, at least for Bonnie. Bonnie's the only animatronic we have to deal with for night 1. The main way he goes is from the main stage to our office, and when he gets to camera 6 or our hallway, we must watch him until he leaves, because if we don't close the gate in time, this will happen. Lord, tell me where this dude went. Where did Bonnie go? Out of all the characters, I'd say Bonnie is the second the most annoying character to have to deal with. Having to watch him throughout the building so that he doesn't get away from you is very hard, especially when you have to keep up with the other animatronics. The one thing I noticed during night 1 is that you cannot control the cameras. And that's what makes this game so difficult. You can't just flip to the camera you want. You have to do an entire loop around the building just to get back to it. The only reason I died so many times on night 1 is because Raglan the phone guy doesn't give us that much information on how to deal with the animatronics. All he tells us is,
there's also an alarm you can use to scare off intruders. Yeah, let's go with that.
trial and error is a key feature in this game because you're gonna die a bunch. Remember when I told you that Bonnie has another way of killing us? And during the nights, you'll start to notice that Bonnie has certain positions that he'll be at. And when he changes from one of these positions, that means he's getting curious. If you don't use the alarm on Bonnie, he'll go through your back door and he'll kill you. But honestly, after you begin to understand how Bonnie works, you'll understand that this night is not really that hard. After completing our first Graveyard Shift at Freddy's, we can get our first cutscene of the game. Is that all? Well, the kitchen's clean. The mascots are a bit stinky, so you're definitely going to need to fix that. Yes, what else, Newsome? I think that's... What's that smell? I beg your pardon? That smell, where is it coming from? Wait, did you hear that? What? The floor here, it's hollow. Oh, that's the cellar. It's just storage down there. Well, I'm gonna need to see what's inside. May I? Yes, sure. Follow me. Before we can understand what is down in the cellar, our second shift begins. Beginning our second shift, the phone guy tells us that the animatronics actually do move. But he usually doesn't tell the new hires because...
I always like to prank the new hires by leaving out that detail. Old habits die hard, I guess.
He says that the puppets, or gentle giants as he calls them, only want a hug. bro, all they want is a hug. Now we have two new animatronics to deal with. Chica and her cupcake are now activated, or Cream is what they call the cupcake. Chica by far is the easiest animatronic to deal with. To be honest, I don't even think I died to Chica one time during my playthroughs. Chica works like this. When you're flipping through your cameras, you have a chance of seeing Chica running throughout the hallways. This means that Chica is right outside your door. The only way that Chica can kill us is if we're looking through our cameras. But if we're just sitting in our office, Chica can't kill us. The only way to get rid of Chica is by baiting her into your office. So flip up your cameras and make her come into your office. Then flip down your cameras, and if you did it right, you'll see the animation of Chica leaving your office. Then close the door and wait until you hear more stomping. It sounds about something like this. The other puppet we have to deal with during this night is Cream, or Chica's cupcake. Cream will always be in the vent behind us, and you'll have to keep checking the cameras throughout the night to see if Cream is screaming. If you see Cream screaming, you have to immediately use your alarm, or he'll crawl through the vents and kill you. Because Raglan really doesn't give us much information on how to deal with the animatrons, this night is still a lot of trial and error. And it really doesn't matter how many times you play this game, it will never stop being scary. And there's one feature that the developers really nailed, and it's the ambience. There's a beat that always kicks in the last 2 hours of the night, and this is the time where most people begin to stress, and when you hear the beat, you can't ignore the pressure of 4 AM, and you really have to lock in. There's so many times I died during the last 2 hours because of the beat. It really can mess up your train of thought. That's what builds onto the fear of this game. But to be honest, adding Cream and Chica into the mix really wasn't that much pressure on me, and I got through this night pretty easily. After completing our second graveyard shift, we can get our second cutscene of the game.
Entry 175, 7th of July 1974. Things aren't looking good for Freddy Bears right now. I told them countless times, I warned them about what would happen if they leave, and yet they didn't listen. Last night after closing, Wolfgang attempted to break out of the restaurant again. Let's just say he didn't get far before collapsing in agony before I found his remains, or at least what was left of them. Hopefully he didn't make any noise that would alert the nearby businesses. I cleaned up whatever pile of ash was left, threw it away as is. However, for the bones, I'd saved them for closing up and showed them to the others. They understand their place now. None of them can leave.
With this cutscene, we learn that Raglan is keeping these creatures hostage, but for what reason? After this cutscene, we can begin our third graveyard shift. During this night, the phone guy tells us that this night is going to get a little more hectic. He says to go look in the playroom. There's a puppet that sits in there, and we need to keep the music box wind up or that puppet will begin to move. Basically the same mechanics as the puppet from FNAF 2. The puppet we have to deal with during this night is Barry, and Barry is really not much of a threat to us on this night. Because most of the early game nights, Barry's music box is very slow. And you can deal with Chica and Bonnie before you have to even think about Barry. And another thing that makes Barry really easy is his phases. Barry has at least 3 or 2 phases, I think, but I'm too lazy to check. Night 3 is kinda where the trouble begins because there's one more game mechanic I forgot to tell y'all about. The internet router on our desk. If you begin to flip through your cameras too fast, your video quality will begin to mess up and will begin to get those potato graphics that most of the pro Fortnite players use. If your video quality begins to go down, you'll have to flip down your cameras and click on the internet router. You'll have to let it sit there for a while so it can reset. But here's the thing I'm beginning to notice. Raglan really isn't giving us much information on how to deal with these animatronics, and I'm starting to feel like Raglan really isn't trying to help us get through these nights. During every night, we learn more and more about a man who's keeping these animatronics for his own pleasure. Maybe Raglan sees pleasure in letting these animatronics do these things.
But hey, that's just a theory. A game!
But let's take a step back. Adding all these animatronics into this night is not really that hard because all the game's doing is really adding a stalling mechanic. I would honestly say that Barry is one of the easiest animatronics to deal with. If you aren't playing stupid and you're doing routine checks on Barry, you're not gonna die to him. Another thing I love about this game is the raw amount of Easter eggs they put into it. There's so many Easter eggs they put into this game. Like, one of the Easter eggs gives us a 1 in 8,000 chance of seeing Golden Freddy Bear. And by far, Golden Freddy Bear has to be one of my favorite jump scares in game. The way that Golden Freddy just looks at us is actually terrifying. But to be honest, getting through our third graveyard shift really wasn't that hard, and I easily beat it on my first attempt. After completing our third graveyard shift at Freddy's, we can get our third cutscene of the game. Mr. Rodriguez, I can assure you that no one at Freddy Bear's is the cause of your son's disappearance.
Cut the bullcrap, Wells. You know darn well that something's going on at that crack house your clients call a restaurant.
I'm telling you right now, Miss Doily, your client's son did not disappear from Mr. Raglan's establishment.
Sam Rodriguez was last seen around Freddy Bear's. That already disproves your claim.
Which doesn't exactly mean it's my client's fault. For all we know, he could have disappeared after he left.
I know Mr. Raglan did it.
Excuse me?
Raglan's Eatery has a reputation of disappearing staff.
What? Now, that's outrageous.
I know you know where my boy is.
Miss Rodriguez, please calm down. She's right, Miss Rodriguez. My client could sue you for
Your client kidnapped my boy.
Whoa, hey now. Janice, please.
I just want to see my boy again. I just want to see my boy again.
Before we can understand what caused the disappearance of Miss Rodriguez's child, our fourth shift begins. This night by far is the hardest night you'll have to get used to in the game, because during night 4, the most annoying animatronic is now activated, Sheriff Slithers. It may not look like this animatronic is hard to deal with, but I assure you that his mechanic is the most annoying in the game. Whenever you're flipping through your cameras, Sheriff Slithers has a chance of appearing on one of them. And if you flip off of that camera, you die. It's for real just an instant kill. During night 4, this is where the game begins to get a lot more annoying, because all the mechanics that we've learned throughout the game all collide into one big bubble, which is very hard to get used to when you're starting night 4. The camera quality becoming horrible, having to keep checking on Cream, and now having to wait for Sheriff Slithers to leave the camera is so hard to deal with at the same time. And I'm not even going to mention Barry, because his AI levels on this night are increased so that his music box moves much faster now. I wouldn't say that this night is too difficult if you know how to play the game, but for somebody that's doing a blind playthrough of the game, it's still very hard to understand because Raglan still doesn't tell us anything about them. All he tells us is this.
We have a new character that should be sneaking around. Now to get rid of it, it's a bit tricky. You see, all you have to do is if you see it, try and keep your camera on it for as long as possible. Even if that requires you to pull the camera down so it doesn't switch to the next one. And before you know it, it'll bug off. Just make sure your camera doesn't switch on it.
Don't you notice how Raglan's voice seems more and more panicked throughout each night? It's kinda like Raglan's never seen anything like this before. But let's take a step back. What makes this night so much more difficult than the others? Now that Raglan's introduced Sheriff Slithers into the mix, this messes up your entire flow of the game. Now, instead of being able to check where Bonnie is immediately, you'll have to flip down your monitor for Sheriff Slithers. And knowing where Bonnie is essential for this game. Because while you have your camera flipped down, Bonnie could be getting curious. Or Cream could even be screaming. And not watching after these puppets is a death wish. Another thing that the game did not tell us is that Sheriff Slithers actually has a sound cue, and on my first couple attempts I was actually looking for him through my cameras, and I don't think you understand how hard it is to spot him. Sheriff Slithers is like a needle in a haystack and you're not finding him. That's why the sound cue is essential for this night. The sound cue sounds like this.
Let's play a game. Try to find Sheriff Slithers.
3, 2,
1. If you said Sheriff Slithers was right there, then good job. Now find him here. Do you see what I mean? It is impossible to find him. So yet again, this game is a lot of trial and error. Yo, if you've gotten this far throughout the video, please consider subscribing. It helps me out a ton and I can post more content like this. Alright, enough of me yapping, let's get back to the video. This night took me a lot of attempts, but after an hour of playing, I was finally able to beat this night. After completing night 4, we can get our 4th cutscene of the game. Entry 806, April 8th, 2017. He's getting too far ahead. I thought they would have gotten him by now. Our systems used to work so well. What changed now? Is this a sign? A sign from the universe? From God? I don't know what I do now. Is that I've been getting nightmares again. As if I was in his position, singing that darn ticket booth. That garbage security system was still there. The broken computer was still there. Everything but my creations, they were gone. At least I thought they were. Then I saw the camera in the playroom. The hatch was opened up and came out Freddy Bear. He looked different, like he's changed, as if he's slowly wearing down just like me. He acted more rabid than before, a far cry from his usual behavior. He was beyond hunger. Of course, it ended for me the same way it ended for all of the poor souls before me, being dragged down into darkness. It's clear to me now, this is all coming to an end. Before we can understand what happened to Freddy Bear, our 5th shift begins.
Why? Why didn't you leave? Was it the money? Or something else? The only way this ends is for you to die. Mr. Rodriguez, this is the last time we will be speaking to one another. May God have mercy on the both of us.
This is actually terrifying. Raglan says that he's never seen anyone make it this far, so the only way for it to end now is for us to die. This night 5 is by far one of the most mentally draining night 5s I've ever played. And that's because of one animatronic, Dreddy Bear. His mechanic is very difficult to deal with because what it requires is stalling. But usually when I'm stalling in games, it's usually an effective strategy to help deal with this animatronic. But in this game, it's the complete opposite. For the entire night, you must stall Dreddy Bear by looking at him through the cameras, or else he'll begin to move. And if he gets to our door, it's an immediate death because our door cannot hold Freddy Bear. You honestly have to have a perfect run to beat this night. And if you mess up one thing, it could totally end your run. I have died so many times on this night, and it's actually no joke. And in my most draining attempt, this actually happened.
Yes. Come on. Yes. Come on, game. Come on. Yes.
If you don't understand what made this attempt so mentally draining, let me break it down for you. If you were actually paying attention to the clock in the left-hand corner, you'd realize that it was actually 6 a.m. So that unfortunately means that I died to a glitch. A freaking glitch! If you watch the footage back, you'll notice that my cursor was nowhere near the shutter, and somehow it went up. And this actually made me fear for playing this game anymore, because I was scared if I got far into a run, and I encounter another glitch, I would end up dying on 6 a.m. again. So this attempt actually broke me for a couple of days. But after a few days, I decided to stand on business and lock in. So finally, after completing our 5th graveyard shift at Freddy's, this happens. This ending is truly terrifying because it shows that these animatronics could have killed us at any moment, but yet they were just playing with their food. After completing our 5th graveyard shift at Freddy's, we can get our final message of the game. Freddy Bear's Eatery and Fun under investigation. The Denver Police Department were recently contacted to Freddy Bear's Eatery and Fun, a long-standing local entertainment venue, following what was reported to be loud screaming found from the building. When officers arrived at the scene, the entrance lobby to the local venue was in wreck. A window shutter was found smashed, alongside a messy office showing that some struggle had occurred. Police also found the ID card of the building security guard, Sam Rodriguez, who police were able to identify as a reporter for the TDR News Network, having worked undercover on a story about the location. Rodriguez's disappearance comes 4 weeks after the disappearance of the health inspector Gibson Newsom, who disappeared in early March of this year after a routine inspection of the building. DPD believes that these two cases are in fact connected and they were strongly suspected of foul play. We are convinced that Sam Rodriguez's disappearance was not a random crime, and we are questioning the venue's owner Steve Ragland for more information on the case. DPD Detective Sherman Hines. Wow. But y'all, this is actually not the end of the video because there's actually a secret ending to this game. After completing the game, there's a mode called Grave Danger Mode. It's not like a custom mode, there's actually lives involved. You have 3 lives to complete the entire game, and if you do, you can get this secret newspaper which reads, "A shocking discovery has recently resurfaced following the intense investigation into the local entertainment venue Freddy Bear's Eatery and Fun. Detectives were able to uncover a hatch hidden under the floorboards of the building's playroom, and what they found is something that no one could have foreseen. Underneath the hatch where parents would leave toddlers to play while they ate their meals was a secret cellar with dozens, if not hundreds of decaying corpses, most of which will already become bones by the time of discovery. It was like a graveyard," said Reed Brisello. Amongst the sea of bodies were the fresh remains of Sandra Rodriguez, who had gone missing 2 weeks prior. Law enforcement came to the conclusion that the venue owner, Steve Ragland, was most likely the suspect of Denver PD. They were unable to take him into custody, as following a police raid of his arrest, officers found his home in complete disarray, and the disgraced restaurant owner missing. Officers had followed the trail up to his bedroom, and were greeted with more destruction and shattered windows, suggesting that there was a struggle of some kind. While some take this as evidence as a vigilante justice being involved, police believe that Ragland simply had a mental breakdown. Unfortunately, as for now, the trail has gone cold. However, the DPD has assured the public that they will be launching a statewide manhunt in conjunction with the FBI, stating, "We will make sure Steve Ragland is brought down for his crimes." It does seem that Freddy Bear and the other animatronics did jump Ragland. I am so sorry that this video took so long to get out. There was trouble with downloading it because the game got taken down, and I really don't want to gain the reason because I don't like to make that type of content. But I will link the Google Doc in the description if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's take a step back and actually review what happened. We play as the night guard Sam Rodriguez for these 5 nights, trying to help piece together a case on Freddy Bears. During night 5, we're unfortunately killed, so the police raid the place. The police end up finding the hatch under the playroom and discover the hundreds, if not thousands, of bodies of poor souls. I honestly did love this game, one of my favorites, but there's a lot of flaws in it too. There's a lot more things I could have told y'all about the game, like 2.0 or even the demo, but that's all for today. Let the credits roll. Thanks for watching the video. I'm gonna start adding a tier list in the end of my videos, ranking all the games I played. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any games that you want to see me review next time, just leave them in the comments. Well, until next time, stay alive, and goodbye.